Hey everybody, it's me Chris. I'm back over here in the kitchen. Today I'm going to show you how to make the most amazing New York style bagels. And if you've ever had them, you know that they got that shiny, crunchy exterior and that soft, chewy middle that makes them really, really good. So a couple techniques you need to understand in order to achieve that type of texture. I'm going to show you how to do that and make the best bagels you've ever had. Let me show you what I got here on my ingredients. So for the actual bagel dough, I got 9 cups of flour. This is high gluten flour. I have here 3 cups of water, and I recommend using natural spring water. You get better consistency in terms of the yeast and how it rises. I got a 1/3 cup sugar, 2 tablespoons kosher salt, 1 tablespoon of active dry yeast. And then what's going to give these bagels that really nice sourdough type flavor is we're going to make a starter or a poolish, and let it ferment before we mix the dough. So I have here a cup of flour, 3/4 cup of warm water, and a 1/2 teaspoon of active dry yeast. For the toppings, you can use whatever you want. You can make them plain. I got some everything bagel seasoning. You can get that in almost any supermarket now. Some minced garlic, that's the chunky garlic pieces. And I have some sesame seeds. I got a little cornmeal here. I'm going to use that when I set my bagels up on the sheet pans. And I also wrote down the recipe. If you want to take a screenshot, you can take a look at the ingredients there. Alright, so the first thing we got to do is make our starter, our poolish. And it's very easy. Just combine all these ingredients. So I got the water and the yeast I'm going to put right into my bowl here. And I'm just going to whisk this and combine it. And so what this does is this gives the bagels that yeasty, fermented, sourdough type flavor. So all the flavors right in here. And what you want to do is decide if you're going to make your bagels in the morning, you want to mix this the night before. Just cover it with plastic and let it set up in the fridge overnight. But if you want to make your bagels at night, do this in the morning. You can cover it, you can leave it out anywhere between 4 to 8 hours. Alright, so to make the bagel dough, I got my water here. I just heated it up for about 1:40 in the microwave. It's nice and warm. I'm going to add in my yeast, just sprinkle it right on top of the water, just like that. And I'm going to add my sugar. And really what I want to do here, I just want to let it sit for 5 minutes. I'll give it a little bit of a stir, but I want to make sure that the yeast is working. So once it starts to foam up, we can begin to make the dough. While I wait for the yeast to activate, I'm just going to add the salt into the flour and just mix it in a little bit. All right, so the yeast foamed up nicely, so I know it's good. And take a look. This is the starter, the poolish, and this is what it looks like. You can see how it's fermented, and it's nice and sticky, and that's going to really give good flavor to the bagels, and it's going to help strengthen the dough. So I'm just going to go ahead and add this in and give it a good mix. And so now at this point, I'm just going to add the flour and my salt right in on top of it. All right, so my dough's ready to go. I got my dough hook on my KitchenAid here. You could also just mix it by hand. And I'm going to let this go. It should just come together and it should come clean off the sides of the bowl. Let it mix for about 6 to 10 minutes. You want a kind of nice, smooth looking dough. Pretty good. I'm just going to put a little flour in my hand here to clean off the dough hook and just take this off of here like this. And now I'm just going to put this onto my bench, and you can see this dough just barely came together. And if depending on humidity, you might need to add a little bit more flour. It might still be a little sticky, but you don't want too much. You want just barely enough for this to come together and come away from the sides of the bowl. And I'm just kneading this into kind of a nice smooth dough ball here by hand, just to smooth it out. And then what I'll do is I'll take this clean bowl here, just a little bit of canola oil in there, and I'll put the smooth side down, and then I'll flip it over, and this is ready to go. So now what you do is you can cover that with a damp towel or a piece of plastic, and you want to let it sit 1 hour to 2 hours and let it at least double in size. All right, so my dough's ready. And it's definitely doubled in size. You can take a look. It looks really good. So I'm just going to punch this down a little bit. And you shouldn't need any extra flour. I have some on the side here. I'm just going to turn this out onto the cutting board. And next thing you got to decide is what size you want your bagel. So this recipe I designed to make 24 medium-sized bagels. So basically what I'm going to do is divide this in half, just like this. And instead of flour, I'll use this bench scraper to kind of help me get it off. And then I'm going to keep dividing this half in half, just like this, until I get 12 pieces. So I'll take one section at a time, just like this. I'll cut it in half. Okay, and then I'll cut each half into thirds. Doesn't have to be exact, just like this. So what you want to do is, you don't want to add the flour because this should just barely stick to the board a little bit. And we're going to use that friction to help make a dough ball. And you just press it and just kind of squeeze it between your hands like this and roll it around until it's a nice little ball, just like this. And put it on the side. And then, you know, if you do these enough, I mean, I've made a lot of bagels, but you could do 2 at a time, just like this. They don't have to be perfect. And we're just going to keep going just like this until we form 24 little dough balls. So this is what it looks like. I just got to cover these. Got a couple of kitchen towels here. And just let that sit there for like 10 minutes. And really all you want to do is just let the dough relax, because when you work it like that, it gets a little bit tight. You let it sit for about 10-15 minutes. The dough will relax a little bit. It'll be easier to shape your bagels. All right, so these rested for about 10 minutes. I'm going to show you how to shape the bagels. And I got some flour here. Try not to add any more flour, just on my fingertips. And if they get a little bit stuck, which sometimes they do, this one's pretty good. But you could just use your bench scraper. And all you're going to do here is just punch your fingers through there and make a little hole and rip it just like this. And then just kind of twirl it around. Just like that, and that's how you form the bagels. I got a couple of half sheet pans here with some cornmeal so that they don't stick, and each one will hold 12 bagels. I'm just going to go ahead and start to shape these until I get them all done. Alright, so these look great. I got my bagels there, and you know, if you want them all the same exact size, you can go ahead and just weigh it out before you start doing this, but I don't mind. Some are smaller than others. I think that works out actually pretty well. So I'm just going to cover these with a towel. And if you got room in the fridge, I would put them in the fridge for an hour or two, let them set up. And you can even refrigerate them overnight if you want to do this all the night before. Take them out in the morning and just boil them and bake them. You can do that. I've tried it before. It comes out great. All right, so while my bagels set up in the fridge, I'm getting ready to bake them here. So I got my oven preheating to 400 degrees. You want to let your oven preheat properly, at least a half hour to an hour. I got my pot here, nice wide pot, filled about 3/4 of the way with water. I'm going to bake the bagels on these half sheet pans. I like to use these silicone mats so that they don't stick. And I got a couple small pans here. I need something for when the bagels come out of the water. I need somewhere to put them so I can apply the seasoning before I put them onto the baking. All right, so we're ready to make some bagels. And what we got to do is boil them first, and that's what gives them that nice skin, that crust on the outside. So I'm going to do just 6 at a time. I should be able to fit them. And just make sure you keep track of the top side so that you cook them all the same. So that's 2, 4, and 6. And you notice these are floating, so that's a good sign. It means the dough is made right. And I'm just going to cook these for a couple minutes on each side. I'll turn them once or twice. And just keep a close eye on them. Just flipping these, and you know, you can tell they're starting to plump up a little bit and take on a really nice shape. And like I said, just about 2 minutes per side should be good. So these look good. I kept track of the top side because that's the side we want to season. So I'm just going to dunk them a little bit more, and then I'm going to take them out. I'm going to put them right onto my little 1/4 sheet pan here so we can season them. I want to season these right away so that it sticks. And I'm just going to shake this on. I'm going to make some everything here. A nice even layer of seasoning for all of them. Just like this. And you could put as little or as much as you want. Alright, so these are ready to go onto my baking sheet. And the trick here is, these are hot, so just be careful. I'm going to flip them over. Just like that. I'm going to turn them upside down. And bake them halfway just like that. Because if you don't, the seasoning's going to burn. It's going to get too dark. So this is the trick. You just bake them for the first half upside down. So I'm going to finish the rest of my bagels, and we'll get them in the oven, and I'll show you what to do next. All right, so I'm going to leave 4 plain for Jack, and these just go right onto the baking sheet, just like that, because they don't need seasoning, upside down. I'm going to do 4 sesame. Okay, got my sesame. I'm gonna do 4 garlic. Alright, so my bagels are ready. I got 12 everything here because we like that the most. 4 plain, 4 garlic, 4 sesame. And these are going to go in the oven. They're upside down for the first 10 minutes. Now I'll flip them over, let them finish cooking right side up until they're a nice golden brown. Alright, so the bagels are done. Like I said, about 10 to 15 minutes on the first side. Flip them right side up and then let them go until they're nice and golden brown. And the whole house now smells like a bagel shop. It smells amazing in here. I'm ready to have one now, but I'm going to let them cool off for a little bit and then I'll cut them for you. Alright, so the bagels are ready. I let them cool off a little bit. Jack came to help me do a taste test. And Jack's going to have a plane and oven and everything. I just want to show you how to cut this. Whenever you cut a bagel, just put your hand on top flat like this and just start to cut through. And then turn it upright like this so that you don't cut your fingers. And I just want to show you. You can see how these are nicely cooked on the bottom and what they look like inside. Came out really, really good. And you know, these bagels freeze really well. That's why I like to make a double batch. It's a lot of work to make these. It's a lot of steps. So you might as well go ahead and make double. And then what I like to do is just pre-slice them like this. Put them right in the Ziploc or in the freezer bag. And throw them right in the freezer. And you can take them out as you need them. Alright, it's time to give these a try. Jack, I got yours plain with just some butter. Mine I had with some scallion cream cheese. I just want to show you the inside of the bagel again. You can see it's just perfect texture, so I'm going to give this a try.
Oh, look at my inside. There's butter. And I'm now going to eat this. Oh. Delicious!
Really good. Really, really good. You know, that crust is really nice and crunchy a little bit.
Delicious.
It's got a nice chewy inside. It's really, this is the real deal. This is a real New York bagel. You got to try this. You're going to love it. Hey, don't forget to subscribe for my channel. Thanks for watching the video. I'll see you on the next one.